Shalom and good day all, this is Tehillim29 back again for another DC comic review. And in this DC comic review I will be reviewing Detective Comics Batman by Mariko Tamaki, issue 1053, The Flash 779 by Jeremy Adams, as I have really enjoyed the last couple of issues that I have read through and reviewed. And last but not least, Aquaman Becoming, to which I'll be getting the first two issues of this series. That will be a decider whether I choose to continue with the run or not. So let's jump into first things first of the first comic that I'll be reviewing. Alright, and of the first comic that I'll be reviewing, it'll be Detective Comics Batman by Mariko Tamaki. And starting off with first things first, the cover. Does this cover in any way, shape or form connect to anything that's happening inside of the story? Sure enough it does, to which I give the cover a 7.5 out of 10. I'll now jump to the internal art inside of the story. I will not be covering the backstory in this, only the main story. Even though the backstory is quite interesting, I wouldn't mind getting it in trade paperback. Now this is some of the art around the beginning of the story, and this takes place at the Gotham City Courthouse. And of course we've got Penguin here, and someone who owes their debts. As we move a little bit further, we get Dick Grayson visiting Huntress, and as you can see here, we've got some of the rooms at this Arkham Tower. And that's around the middle of the story. I'll now move towards the end. And last but not least, we have Dick Grayson encountering Psycho Pirate. We, of course, have Batwoman making their appearance. And it looks like spoiler there too, along with a couple of others. So for the internal art, I gave it a 7.5. Now it's time to jump to the story. Now, were there any comic references in this run? No, there wasn't. In regards to the area of time, in regards to the story around the tower, we have day 21. We got quite a fair locations this time around. Gotham City Courthouse. We of course had the Batcave, the tower, the office of Dr. Ocean. The cast of characters consisting of Penguin, Dr. Weir, Cassandra Cain, Batgirl, Batwoman, Oracle, Nightwing, Huntress, Nero XIX, or Nero 19 I believe it is. We of course had Harley make an appearance, Freeze make an appearance, and last but not least, Psycho Pirate. The overall rating for this is a 7 out of 10. So, moving into the next comic, we have Aquaman Becoming, to which it follows the present journey of Jackson Hyde in DC Comics, and what else is also happening around Arthur Curry, plus in the Aquaman part of the universe. So for this cover, does it in any way, shape or form connect to something that's happening inside of the story? You bet it does. 7 out of 10. I'll now show you some of the internal art around the beginning, middle and end, starting now, as well as some of the things that are happening in the story. Now, as we start to jump into the middle of the story, we have some things taking place, to which we have Jackson Hyde plus other members stopping a bit of an uprising happening and occurring at the Capitol building in this Aquaman universe. Of course, the title was called Before and After. And this is around the middle, the beginning. I'll now move towards the middle. And as we jump towards the middle, we have Jackson Hyde coming up against one of the insurrectionists, of course, to which it looks like a member of his family actually gets injured, being, I think it's Delilah, if I remember. And yes, it's nice to see a character being literally treated as weaker than someone a little bit stronger than them. And I definitely appreciate that in the story, but it also shows how Jackson Hyde reacts to the situation. And last but not least, towards the end of the story, to which Jackson Hyde seems to leave on somewhat negative terms with his sister. And then as we return, we end up in Iceland, in which we see Arthur Curry and an encounter with Black Manta. For the internal art, I gave it a 7 out of 10 for the story. Let's start off with first things first. Did we get any comic book references? To which we did. The Aquaman 80th Anniversary Edition special. That issue 1, that one shot that came out, which was really nice. In regards to time, we had before used 3 times in the story and later also used once. The locations that we got to see here, this was taking place in the era of Jebel. We also had the well. We also encountered a medical centre, and last but not least, Iceland, to which Arthur Curry was at. Moving into the cast of characters, we had Jackson Hyde, Mira, Aquaman, who literally made his appearance. We had Mika and Delilah, and last but not least, Black Manta. For this story rating, I gave it a 7 out of 10. We now have one more to work on. And now finally it's time to move into The Flash, to which we get to follow the adventures of Wally West plus members of his family. So jumping into first things first, does this cover in any way, shape or form connect to something that's happening inside of the story? Sure enough it does, to which I give it a 7 out of 10. I'll now move into showing some of the internal art around the beginning, middle and the end, to which we'll get to meet some of the characters, some of the things that are happening inside of the story. And last but not least, the internal art rating. So as we jump into the beginning of the story, we have some of the things that are still happening on Gem World until guess who appears? Jay, Irie, and also Animal Girl. And of course we encounter the members of the Justice League Dark, who are presently possessed by Eclipso. And as we jump towards the middle of the story, we can definitely see that quite a lot is happening here. And of course, how the members are also playing their role in helping out Wally West. And last but not least, we have the appearance of Spectre towards the end of the comic. For the internal art, I gave this a 7 out of 10. Now it's time to move into the story. Did this story have any comic references? No, but it probably wouldn't have hurt just to give one that covered the start of this arc. Moving into the next thing, time, did we get any indication of when it, what time that this is taking place throughout the day? No, we didn't. The locations in this, we had Earth and Gem World, but not sort of like exact locations. The cast of characters consisting of Jay, Irie, Flash, who is Wally West, the Justice League Dark. We also had Animal Girl, Eclipso, and last but not least, Spectre. I think I might have missed a couple there, but until then, let's get to the story rating, to which I gave this story a rating of 7 out of 10. Until then, let's keep it colourful and have yourself an awesome day.